Well, thank you for joining us. We've got a crew on our call today. And I'll just kick us off. So we've got undergraduate and graduate students in our healthcare management programs, as well as members of our healthcare management associations. So those are the student organization on campus that's connected with the programs. Then we also extended the invite just to others within our Jindal school, our business school. So there could be a variety of students on the call at different stages of their career. Some are just starting out. I see a couple on who might be like freshman, sophomore even, so they're kind of planning ahead to what they might be doing. And then there are graduate students who are kind of that dual, even MS, MBA students. So anyway, you've got a great crowd here. And so then for students on the call, this is Ashley Howard. So she's a campus recruiter for HCA and Parallon. So we'll just let her take over, and please, utilize the chat for questions. Feel free to unmute yourself. Show your video, whatever works for you. So anyway, we'll turn it over to you, Ashley.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. We love the University of Texas many into uh, university. So it's a great partnership. Just a little bit about who we are and
I'm so sorry.
Company of.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm having a little bit of a problem with connection. Let's see here.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, I think you're clear. It was just your first part just totally seemed to be a little bit broken up.
Sorry, guys. So Parallon is a fully owned subsidiary company of HCA. So Parallon's main focus for us as a healthcare company is the revenue cycle process. So when you think about going to doctor or even going to have maybe a minor surgery, you register with our patient access team who collects that demographic information. So collecting insurance cards, maybe any copays, taking the copies of your driver's license. That is the first step of the revenue cycle process because they're collecting and ensuring that that information is correct for billing purposes. This they then pass the baton over to the HCA doctors to perform that surgery or that care. And then once you check out of the hospital, that wonderful bill gets sent in the mail, and that is from Parallon. So Parallon is really the backbone of ensuring that our profits are getting met correctly. I do apologize. I'm going to turn my video off for 1 second. My dog is wanting to go outside so bad. Sorry. The joys of working from home. But really, Parallon focuses on that revenue cycle and that billing, serving that billing questions for patients. So really ensuring that if there's any issues with denials or appeals or maybe insurance verification, Parallon is really able to handle that and be that advocate for the patient. So they have created what's called the manager in training position that really allows for a new grad like yourself, or maybe, someone who has previous work experience, maybe a non-traditional student who's looking to get into healthcare and leadership, the opportunity to really take 12 to 18 months to really just be able to learn the ins and outs of the revenue cycle process by getting that hands-on learning, but also able to get that experience and guidance from other leaders to become a leader within healthcare. So it's really an opportunity to be able to fast track your career into leadership. So, for example, we just had a group of manager in trainings that just went through the program, and now they are in manager positions. Some of them, it only took them 12 months. Some, it did take them a little longer. So this training program is really designed by your learning experiences. So we really want to ensure that it's based on you. I know for myself, I'm a very hands-on learner. So it might take me a little longer to learn certain aspects of our business than maybe someone else. Um, but it's a great opportunity to really just be able to become a subject matter in the revenue cycle process. So you're going to be able to rotate and really get that hands-on experience in all these departments and really just be able to see where the dots connect. Okay, I understand why this process affects this process. I understand why we need to communicate. Or maybe, I will say some of our manager and training uh, candidates have come in and said, hey, there's a gap that's missing. I think that we should go this route, and really have been able to bring their innovation and their ideas and their education and experiences to our company to be able to enhance some of our processes. So essentially, there's two types of manager and training positions that we have. So we have what's called the front office. So when you think of front office, think of patient facing. So these are the people that are in the hospitals, that are in the surgery centers, that are overall greeting our patients. They are the ones that are taking that demographic information and really ensuring that it's correct. Um, so there is a lot of customer service based to it because you don't know, um, what problems may come in the hospital, or again, what that patient is going in for. The second position that we have is what's called a back office manager training. And that is more behind the scenes. So that is really that problem solving. Why did the patient, or why did people charge this patient? Why did insurance deny this claim? And really being able to resolve those questions that the patients have about their bill, or why they were charged a certain thing. So I would think that, someone that has an analytical mindset, maybe that likes the finance and number pieces, they're going to be more of a fit for the back office. Where someone who has a really outgoing personality, loves kind of the fast pace, loves being in a hospital setting, that you would be geared more towards the front office. So again, great opportunity to really kind of take your career to the next level and really just to overall challenge yourself. I would definitely, be lying if I didn't say it's going to be challenging at times. You're going to be throwing projects, you're going to be throwing, um, you know, leadership problems that maybe you haven't dealt with, of having those difficult conversations with an employee on, hey, you've been tardy 7 times in the past, you know, 2 weeks. What's going on? Let's have a conversation. Or maybe someone's not performing to the metrics and standards that we have, and being able to deliver that. Um, I it's in the news of every single day, staffing issues. How do we keep our staff engaged right now? How do we keep them happy? How can we be more innovative on finding more staff, and being creative on referring friends, or referring people that we know. So there's a lot of aspects to it, especially from that leadership perspective, that really puts a challenge on it. So I definitely would recommend that if this is something that you're interested in, to please reach out to me. Please email me. We constantly recruit for these positions all year round, and we have them all over Texas. So Dallas, Houston, Corpus Christi, El Paso. And if you're even wanting to come to Nashville, that's where I'm based. We have a positions in the Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia market as well. So we're all over. So great opportunity to really just take your career to the next level. Into any questions, or I know we had a few questions that were submitted prior to this. I would love to answer them.
Well, so Ashley, a couple that I've seen that students have submitted would be, what kind of experiences are you looking for in candidates? What type of experience do you require of candidates? So if you have somebody who is maybe a senior from their undergraduate or in a graduate program, are you looking for people with work experience? Do they need to have certain internships? If you are screening a candidate in, what should be kind of that minimum criteria of types of experiences that they have?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So for myself, for the recruiting process, I'm definitely looking for a student that has passion to work in healthcare. So you do not necessarily have to have any experience, but I want to hear the why. Why do you want to be in healthcare? Um, and really being able to hear and learn about that story. Really overall, what we're looking for is leadership too. I want to be a leader. I took that, I'm that student that every time we have a group project, I sign up to be the team lead. I'm assigning out tasks. I'm setting up the meetings. You don't have any work experience, but you were involved in a student organization and you took certain initiatives in that or had volunteer experience. That is all something that we're looking for. But really, what the leadership team wants to hear is that I really want to make an impact in healthcare in some form or fashion, and that I want to be a leader. That's really what we're looking for. So, really, we don't have a lot of requirements for the position. We do talk to students that are about to graduate. So we don't have a lot of requirements. I know the biggest one is a 3.0 GPA is really the biggest thing that we look for is just having a 3.0 or above. But we really look at, did you have those extracurricular activities? Did you take those opportunities to be involved in organizations? Did you volunteer while you were in school? We want to hear that story of why healthcare is important to you and why you want to grow as a leader. So those are some things that we're looking for with our new grads.
That really just aligns perfectly. Yesterday we had two sessions kind of to kick off this healthcare week. So we did like a visualize your career, and it was kind of talking about all the different sort of possibilities in and out of the hospital setting with this major. And then last night we had, actually he's a hospital president in the area, along with a couple of other professionals. And that question of answering why are you pursuing this as a career? Why are you getting this major? Why do you want to get into healthcare? That was a theme in both of those. So this is really interesting. I think that students can leave this with, what's an action step they can do after this session? And it might be to kind of figure that out, write it down, practice it, how you talk about it. It seems like that's really an important thing to prepare as they are getting ready to graduate.
Yeah. I actually, so I manage a lot of our internship programs, and we had a video interview yesterday with a student, and she asked us, myself and my leader, why did we choose healthcare? And I really for a second, I had to pause and think, like, oh wow, I haven't been asked that question in a while. So, but really, just being able to make an impact, that's why I chose the healthcare industry. I really truly believe that when you love what you do, and I love that healthcare is all about helping others and being able to improve patient lives and the patient care. Um, it doesn't feel like work. It feels very rewarding at times. And our CEO just got on a call a couple weeks ago and was just kind of giving everybody a pep talk on, even if you're in recruiting or finance or that back office work that you're not in front of a patient, we are all touching the patient in some form or fashion. We all have a hand in that patient care. So that was just really uh, impactful to hear that, even as myself as a recruiter, I could be hiring one of you guys that could really make a difference at one of our facilities, or really just be able to be the light for when a patient comes in for a treatment, or really just being able to solve something that really helped the patient out. Maybe there was a big issue with their bill and you were able to be that problem solver and be that advocate for that patient. So it's a very rewarding feeling.
Well, so even in your area, you know, we have students who have asked about that. How do they become a recruiter in healthcare? So how did you get to where you are today? How did you make that decision, I guess?
Yeah, so I have a very unique background because I had a job that I was working, while I was in school that was just a very customer service. And I remember there were so many HR issues and not having a person to go to. So that kind of inspired me to get into HR because I was wondering, is this broken? Like, is HR just a non existence? So I really wanted to learn more about it. So I went to school for HR and really fell in love with all the policies and procedures, and I really never thought about recruiting. I actually did a postgraduate program, something very similar to the manager in training position with a previous company that I worked for, and got to do the rotational aspect. And I really got to see all the different sides of HR. And I really recommend these kind of postgrad programs because it's like being able to one because I got to see payroll and I realized I am not good with numbers. None of you guys want me touching your paychecks. That was not for me. I started really getting the feel of those policies and procedures and realized I didn't like it. It didn't match my personality. And when I got to the recruiting rotation, I was like, there's no way I'm going to love like this. Like, this is not for me either. I actually fell in love with it and I found that it's really matching my personality. It's very rewarding being able to um, really just see a person go through the process. I know for me, I'm unique because I'm in the campus space, but being able to see someone that I hired from an intern go into the manager and training program, and some of them are already at the assistant director level, and I've only been here for 2 years. That's incredible. And just to think, wow, I hired that person right out of college, and look at what they're doing now. So if you're interested in recruiting, I definitely recommend, and we have positions in Texas as well, and I would be happy to connect you. Look at those associate recruiter roles. They are very entry level positions. Um, and again, you probably do recruiting in your everyday. Think about maybe University of Texas of Dallas, or maybe you've recruited some of your friends to come to the student organization that you're in. You're probably doing recruiting, you're just not thinking about it. And those are great examples to use, but we do have associate recruiter roles that are for entry level and very great opportunity to get your foot in the door and to get that experience to see if it's for you. And again, in that manager and training position as well, you do a little bit of the recruiting piece because you could be at a facility that you're still interviewing candidates. You're still looking at trends because as a manager you have to be aware of that to ensure that your employees are being paid correctly.
That's super helpful. And I think that's the thing we've just kind of seen as we've put on these sorts of events is that healthcare is so broad. And so you don't even think maybe of some of these possibilities. And something that came up yesterday was, um, for students to not feel so stressed that what they're studying right now may not be exactly what they're going to do in 3 years or 5 years, but to get your foot in the door at an organization and kind of like work your way up, and then you've established a reputation of being, loyal and a hard worker and trustworthy and some of these things that you just get as an entry level position. And then you're considered for promotions and all sorts of good stuff. But um, to not be so stressed about that, like, what am I going to be doing when I'm 25 or 30 or, later on, as for the younger students. But then also for the students who are maybe in the graduate program or thinking about a career change, there's so much possibilities for that too. And we have, I don't know if they're on this call, but we had a couple yesterday who are kind of in that space of they are getting this degree, either undergrad or graduate, because they do want to do a career change. So have you experienced or have you worked with students who are students or even just recruit, through your recruiting, who are kind of going from a different area into healthcare?
Yes, absolutely. So that is one thing that I will truly say the HCA culture promotes. We actually took a little survey as a campus team during COVID, and we wanted to find out what did all of our recruiters study in school. And, we were all thinking that everyone would be a business major or maybe a management major. But I'm telling you, there was more accounting people and more healthcare administration people than any degree. That those were the top ones, and it was all I did accounting for so long. I wanted to make that career switch. And the one good thing, and just like you mentioned, finding that entry level position, getting your foot in the door, showing that loyalty, that company will take care of you. And HCA really promotes job shadowing. So those people that were in our accounting department or in, the healthcare administration, working in some form of that back office role, went to job shadow as a, hey, and my boss has even promoted it. Why don't you job shadow? Why don't you go see what, different areas of HR, and you get to shadow for a week and really just get to experience that position and kind of sit with someone and hear what they have to say. But we see it all the time. We see people that, I was actually speaking to one of our IT directors, and he started off in internal audit, and he went on to do software development, which he's never had experience in. And now he's the director of HR for the IT group. And he was like, if you would have told me when I was graduating this would be my path, he was like, I would have told you were crazy. Because he was like, he was looking to be an auditor. That's what he went to school for. And that's what he was like, I was so sad that I was going to be an internal audit for the rest of my life. Now he's
I love it.
HR for IT. So it's very much so. It happens all the time. I even use myself. I have a degree in healthcare, um, information technology, and made a total career switch. And again, it's worked out for the best for me. So don't be nervous. Um, Sometimes what you studied, it relates in some way. The connection, that you're like able to kind of say, oh, I remember learning that, and that's weird that it applies here. So I've been able to see that, throughout my career.
That's so exciting. I love it. Well, students on the call, what questions do you have? If you want to stick them in the chat or just unmute yourself. Um, but Ashley, you said the best way would be to email you
Mhm.
their resume if they're interested.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
definitely email me. That is the best way to keep up. And normally, what the process goes is, once you email me your resume, I will be more than happy to do a follow up, where we can set up a conversation, a more tailored one on one conversation. Again, maybe I don't recruit for it, but I definitely will know someone that does.
Great. So it looks like Kim Curry has a question. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, Ashley, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today about your company and the great opportunities that you guys have. I have a question about I saw where Forbes ranked Parallon like one of the top places to work for women in 2021. I was going to ask, do you have any experiences that you would share or any uh, policies or procedures or things that you feel like really make it a great place to work for women?
Great question.
Yes, that's a great question. And I would say Parallon is the best at when they recognize talent, they promote it. They do not wait. And I think that when you think about, I always think about, previous companies that I've worked for, it was always those seniority, well, so and so's been here longer, or, you just got here, or, well, the chain of command. And Parallon, when they see talent and they recognize it, they go for it. And I really, truly love that method. Um, and I will say, with that manager and training position, they just really, again, it's taken some people 6 months to go through that program, and it's taken people longer. They really talk to you and your learning abilities, and they really kind of set you up for a plan. Okay, where does Ashley want to go? Ashley wants to be, you know, um, hospital administrator. How do we get her there? What steps do we need to take? So really just being able to take you and create that individualized plan, because your plan and my plans are two totally different. And I really think that that's what sets Parallon apart. I think another, being one of the top places for women, they have so many women that are sitting on the executive leadership. So that is one thing that I see that you don't see in a lot of organizations, but most of our executive leaders are women. So I think that that's just incredible overall. Where a lot of times you don't see that in an organization, but they're really big about promoting others. And I just think that that's incredible, taking that time to really just focus on those individualized plans and not kind of that, that standard corporate procedures of, okay, well, we got to go by seniority. We have to go by this. When they see talent, they make sure to promote it. So I will say, I think that that's really what sets Parallon apart. I will say majority of the positions, Parallon is 85% work from home. And I think that just, they were work from home prior to COVID. Um, I think that they were also ranked like one of the best places, like work from home wise, but it allows that flexibility in that schedule. They're very flexible with it. They have a great system that's running with work from home positions, and they know what they're doing. I will say, there were parts of HC that with COVID, we had to switch to remote, and they were all kind of very scattered on how do we do this? How do we perform? But Parallon was like, we got this. We already know what we're doing. So we actually had to take some lessons from them on how to be efficient in the work from home space. But great question.
Great answer. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, we have another question from Blake. Hello, Blake.
Hi. Sorry, I'm on hospital Wi-Fi, so I don't know if it will be bad. I was just curious about if there are, or the number of direct reports that there would be during the program for the manager in training, or who the manager in training reports to, and vice versa, all of that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the manager in training position reports to an technically you have a lot of different managers because it depends on the rotation. So as you're rotating, your manager kind of changes and those job responsibilities changes. I always tell everyone, we talked to a lot of the manager and trainings that we hired through COVID, because that was my first year of hiring them. And we asked them that, and they said that, as a candidate, you have to be prepared that each time you do a rotation, it's kind of like starting a new job, because your responsibilities may shift. You may be over a team of 20, playing that interim manager role, because maybe there's a manager that's out on leave or is up for a promotion, and Blake is filling in for them. So you do report to a director. That's going to be that person that kind of manages your day to day. So like, hey, I need time off, or maybe you're having an issue with your schedule. But you also get an executive sponsor. So you're going to have an executive, someone at the O level, who is going to be that teacher for you, to check in with you and see how things are going, to give you that mentorship and that kind of that guidance from an executive sponsor, which I think is incredible, to really just have that connection with them. And but overall, you report to a director, but you could see yourself playing a manager in some of those rotations. And I've been told that it could be anywhere from 20 to 30 direct reports, but you're going to have someone with you beside you. So kind of saying, okay, Blake, you're going to lead this team meeting, but I'm going to be right here that if I'm not throwing you into the, throwing you into the fire, but if you have any things that, come up, I'm here to support you. And then you're also getting that feedback after of like, Blake, you handled that so well. These are a couple pointers that I want to give to you, because you're really getting that, I call it like that hand holding experience, because
Right.
in a way you have to be able to experience it and kind of go out there and be like, okay, let me lead this difficult conversation, but tell me what I did wrong. So you really have that person that's there and to support you. And maybe you do it great, and you just need that encouragement. Um, so that's a great question, because it definitely
Thank you so
changes with
much.
the rotations.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I had another question. What is the kind of the cycle or the timing? So let's say students are graduating. We have students who graduate in every semester, sometimes in the fall, which is December. Sometimes it might be May. And then we actually, every year we usually have several who graduate in the summer. So anyway, what's the kind of the ideal time for them to say that they're interested, or to reach out if they maybe aren't graduating until either, or if they are right away, like this December, or maybe next spring or something? What do you have to say for those students on the call?
Yeah. So my rule of thumb is, I think that if this is something that you're interested in and maybe you're not graduating until May, I kind of say reach out to me 3 months prior to graduation. So, maybe reach out to me, around the March timeframe, and we can go ahead and start that conversation. I will be completely honest that the interview process is pretty lengthy. Um, like I mentioned, kind of with Blake's question, there are a lot of passionate leaders within this organization about this program. So it's going to take a couple of interviews to get to the position. Um, so I would say, if this is something that you're interested in and your graduation is upcoming, maybe around that 3-month time frame, and we can go ahead and get that process started. I will say we recruit for these positions all year round, and so we always have openings for when it comes to the manager and training role. You may not always see them posted, so that's why I say contact me. It takes a lot of administrative work to get a job posted, but I know of all the openings that we're going to have, and sometimes we create openings for really great candidates, especially if we know that some of our previous manager and trainings are going to get promoted soon. So that's kind of my rule of thumb, just because that's kind of how we start the process, and it normally works out great. But if you are interested, please feel free to email me. I will mention that we sometimes have one-off internships in the summer. I know that last year we did have to cancel some due to COVID, but I'm hoping, which I should have more information on after the holidays, on if we're going to have a summer internship. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, let's have a conversation, because we might have some that are one-offs that I can connect you with. If you're not graduating just yet, maybe are looking for some work to do over the summer.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we have had, I think, 3 students come from UTD in our programs who went through the MIT program, who then were placed, in another role after they completed the program. So can you, even if it's not the UTD students, can you just talk a little bit about what that might look like? So if a student goes through and they successfully complete it, if it might be a year or 18 months or whatever the timing is, and then what the maybe the career possibilities might be after they're done with the program.
Yeah. So yes, so we've had several students that, like I mentioned, have come through UTD and some of the other schools, and they start off going through these rotations. And I love that, during COVID, it gave us the opportunity to kind of reach back out to those hires and say, hey, how is it going? I know one of the questions submitted prior was, what makes a candidate stand out? And we asked them that question of, okay, you be the recruiter, you be Ashley, what are you looking for in a candidate? And they mentioned that flexibility and adaptability because things are constantly changing and shifting, and you are doing those rotations. And we asked them of kind of what do those next steps look like for you. So that is something that you're going to have conversations throughout the program of kind of, so I did this rotation. I really like this area due to maybe you're very analytical and you're a very numbers driven person. And they start kind of planning out, okay, well, here are some manager positions that I think would be best fit for you, or maybe some departments. So that you really start having those proactive conversations with your mentor, your leader, your executive sponsor, to really start mapping out, okay, Blake is so good at communication and really good with that patient facing. These are some things that we want you to start thinking of or looking at. So you're going to proactively have those conversations. So after the manager and training position is over, it's typically a 12 to 18 month time frame. But again, we've had some people complete it earlier just due to their learning abilities. After the manager and training position, you go on to be a manager. So you could be in that role, but this is for maybe a year or two. But this is your opportunity to say, okay, I've taken everything that I learned from the
چرا از امروز صبح
So you're able to take what you've learned from the manager in training and really just overall apply. So you're applying all those, all the knowledge that you learned, all the resources that you gained. Have so many mentors and resources that you can refer to. This is your time to kind of shine and really apply that knowledge and that experience that you got from the manager and training program. From there, we would love to continue to see you grow. So we do have an assistant director in training program, and we would love for you to go to a director, to a VP. This is really geared, and I will never forget when I first took on this role. They told me that when I'm recruiting, I should feel like I'm speaking to the next CEO of Parallon. And I was like, "What do you mean?" At first I was like, "They're new grads, how do we?" But the point of this program is to really get you prepared as a leader and really to take that opportunity to really grow you. And we actually have a lot of the people that sit on our executive leadership that have went through this program. So that would overall be the end result, is for you to be a CEO, a COO, or even the CFO. So that is the opportunities that it's kind of endless. We've also had people that kind of, speak into that career change, have realized, okay, maybe the management route is not for me. They also work with you on finding you, okay, what does work best for you? Maybe it's more of that individual contributor role. Maybe you're just meant to be a part of a team, maybe not lead a team. So like I said, they really do kind of work on finalizing that individualized plan and action for you. But there are so many endless opportunities where it's going on to be a director or a VP or a president. There's also endless relocation opportunities. You could definitely stay in the Texas area, but maybe if you're wanting to venture out, I know that I talked to one of my managers the other day, and she's lived in Nashville, Alaska, Florida, Texas. So, we're in 21 different states from coast to coast. We're also in the UK. So endless opportunities available for you. It just kind of depends on where you want to go.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, there's a question in the chat about are there opportunities for international students or, yeah, I guess with HCA or Parallon?
There are some. I would definitely check out the career page and look at the description. So I would definitely check that out on the career page. But there are some opportunities for international students. I will say that it's still kind of the sponsorship is a little, it's questionable on sponsorship. So that's kind of a case by case scenario, but there are opportunities. Yes.
Great. And I just put your email in the chat for anybody who wants that. Any other, I guess, kind of last words of advice you have for students, whether they are just maybe like starting out their college career, maybe they're freshman, sophomore, or those who are getting ready to graduate kind of with that, master's degree or dual degree? What advice do you have for kind of anybody in that kind of range?
Yeah. So I will say, just with anyone, don't be afraid to, kind of network on LinkedIn. Um, that is one that I would have done more as a student, is really, when I met that person at an internship, added them on LinkedIn, get their phone number, have them write me a recommendation letter. You never realize how big that network can expand and who they know. I wish I would have done more of that. It is really networked myself. So don't be afraid to add me on LinkedIn. Use me as your kind of first opportunity of, hey, I want to kind of venture out in the networking space. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is current. Even if you think that barista position at Starbucks is, you're like, oh, I don't want to put that on my LinkedIn. Please do. You don't realize how much we've had to kind of get that out of students. I use this one student that we just hired who used to work at a bar throughout her college. It was like a barbecue place, and it had a bar. And she didn't put it on her resume because she didn't think that it was, appropriate. And her experiences at this barbecue place and bar was everything that we were looking for. She was managing people. She was, enforcing rule. I mean, it was just everything. And we had to like coach her, like, don't be afraid to put that little position or that volunteer thing that you were in. Don't be afraid to put that on your resume. The more you have, the better. You really would be shocked at what we look at and how we can kind of spin it into, wow, you do have those qualifications. You led a volunteer group. You led a dance-a-thon at your school or a project. Like, don't be afraid to put that on your resume. Just and don't be afraid to send that message on LinkedIn. If you see someone that is in a field that you're interested in and want to know more, don't be afraid to send them that email and get your name out there. I wish I would have done more of that in school. Um, and freshmen and sophomores that are just getting started, get involved. Take those internships, take those volunteer opportunities. Really try to get involved, because that really will put you ahead of the game and really just kind of make you more of a competitive candidate for when you're ready for that full-time opportunity.
Great. That's great advice. Thank you. What else? Any last minute questions from anybody else on the call? Well, okay. Ashley, thank you so much. This has been so helpful. And we are recording this, so our hope is to get all of these recordings on our website so other students can maybe follow up. And so, we'd love to have you back again if you are available. We might do this again in the spring, but I think that's all we've got for today. Thank you so much.